Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious oven roasted duck with a homemade duck gravy from scratch. Now we first start off by cleaning the duck. We inject it with this homemade marinade and then we let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. Then the next day we take it out. We take some fruits and we stuff it into the duck, and we also add it outside the roasting pan. And we slow roast the duck until it's nice and tender. And then we take the juices from the duck and we make a delicious and flavorful homemade duck gravy. Now it's very unique, it's really good. This recipe serves about 2 to 4 people. It's absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all you'll need to make your oven roasted duck. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need 6.5 pounds of whole duck. And this is the packaging that the duck came in. This is how it looks here. Oranges, apples, pears, all-purpose flour, and for your seasonings you will need some salt, Chef Paul Prud'homme's Poetry Magic, liquid smoke, and some honey. And for your tools, you'll need a flavor injector, cheesecloth, zip ties, a fat separator, and a meat thermometer. And to bake your duck, you will need a 10 by 15 inch roasting pan with the V-rack. Now I like the V-rack because it roasts the meat all around. And there we have it. Alright, here's the duck. I'm just going to remove it out of the packaging. And here's the cavity. So anything like the neck of the duck, you just want to go ahead and just remove that out of there. There's the heart and the gizzard. Now this duck was completely frozen. What I did was I took the duck, put it in my refrigerator. It took about 3 to 4 days for it to thaw out entirely. Alright, now I've added my duck into my sink, but I have a flat rack underneath it, so that way it won't touch the bottom of the sink or anything. But if you don't have a rack that could fit in your sink, you could just use a regular strainer. Okay. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just rinse the duck off with cold water. Alright, now if the duck has any type of excessive fat or anything like that, just take your knife and just trim that off. Alright, now let's get started with the marinade. So in this small bowl I have 2/3 cup of water, and along with that I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of liquid smoke, 1 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prud'homme's Poetry Magic, 1 tablespoon of honey, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now to give it a little bit more hint of flavor, you could just add some mesquite seasoning, about 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of that in there. I'm gonna just give this a quick stir. Alright, here I have a small mesh strainer with a small bowl underneath it. Now I've taken a small piece of cheesecloth, and I'm gonna just add that in there. And I'm gonna take the marinade and I'm gonna just pour that right on in there. Now what's going to happen is that we want to strain this out because we don't want the flavor injector to get clogged. So now I'm going to take my flavor injector and I'm going to just get some of the marinade out here. I'm going to just tilt it. Alright, here we have the flavor injector with the marinade in it. So now I'm going to just take the injector, insert it into the duck, and just inject the duck. Now you can add as much of this in here as you like. Just turn it over. And we're going to inject some into the thighs. And the rest of it you could just take it and pour it into the body cavity. Alright, now I'm going to just take some zip ties and put it underneath the duck. Now we're just going to bring the legs together like this and tie it together. Same thing with the other side. Just take the food ties, place it underneath the duck. You just want to bring the wings together like this. Just take it like that. Now I'm gonna just take some scissors and I'm gonna just trim this off. All right, now I'm gonna take the duck and I'm gonna just add it into this large plastic bag here. Now you're gonna place this into your refrigerator and you're gonna let this marinate overnight for about 8 to 24 hours. All right, here are our duck pieces, like the duck neck and the giblets, and even some of the duck skin that we trimmed. So to that, I'm gonna add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt and about 1/2 teaspoon of chef paprika's Orchard Magic. I'm gonna just coat the seasonings on there. And I'm gonna cover this, and I'm gonna place this into my refrigerator and let it marinate overnight for about 8 to 24 hours. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and rinse off my fruit. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse off the oranges, the apples, and the pears. Now this next step is optional. If you want to peel the fruit, you just take a potato peeler and just peel the fruit like that. And I'm gonna just chop this up. You chop this into quarter pieces. And of course you can just simply remove that. Alright, the same thing with the pear. I'm just gonna chop this into quarter pieces. Now you can always remove the core. And the same thing with orange. Alright, now I placed the cheesecloth over this large bowl. And I'm gonna just take my apples and pear pieces and I'm gonna just add that in there. Now add a small amount of fruit, as you don't want this to be able to be able to be stuffed into the duck. So just do it right there. I just add this into the duck. Just go ahead and take the duck, add it into the baking pan. And I'm going to just lightly sprinkle some salt onto both sides of the duck. I'm going to lightly sprinkle some chef paprika's Orchard Magic onto both sides of the duck. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 300 degrees. Here is the cooking instructions. And here is the baking instructions. Now I have a 6.5 pounds, so that's 2 hours and 50 minutes. So you want to make sure that you go by this chart, depending on the weight of the duck. And of course, the internal temperature with the meat thermometer should reach 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Now for the extra fruit that we have left over, we're just going to add that to the bottom of the baking pan. Same with the duck neck and the giblets. I'm just going to add that around. Even the fat that we cut, we just add that all in there. Alright, and to that I'm going to add 2 cups of water. Now it is ready to be baked. Alright, now I'm going to place this into a preheated 300 oven on the bottom rack. And I'm going to bake this for 1 hour. Alright, it's been about an hour now. Let's go ahead and remove the duck out of the oven. I'm going to just take a pastry brush, baste the duck, put some aluminum foil on the tips. I'm just wrapping them with aluminum foil, and back into the oven it goes. And I'm going to bake this for 1 hour. Alright, hour 2 is up, so let's go ahead and remove the duck out of the oven. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and baste the duck once again. Now back into the oven it goes. And I'm gonna bake this for 1 hour. Alright, this is the 3rd hour here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove my duck out of the oven. Alright, I've inserted the meat thermometer. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and baste the duck. Check the temperature, make sure everything is good. Now I inserted the thermometer into the die here. And the temperature is about 175 degrees. And after 3 hours of slow roasting in a preheated 300 degree oven, our duck is done. I'm gonna have to go ahead and remove these. Just cut these zip ties off. Alright, here is the duck over here. And here is the cheesecloth with the fruit in there. Alright, here is the pan juices right here. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 cup of water to this. I'm gonna just take a spatula and just glide that on the bottom and the sides of the pan. All right, here I have a fat separator with a cheesecloth inside of it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the pan juices from the duck and I'm just gonna pour it right on in there. Just let that drain. All right, and here is the liquid mixture that we have from our duck. And this is the fat right here. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna make a roux with that. I'm gonna make us a wonderful and flavorful duck gravy. Preheat your fire to medium heat. All right, now let's get started with making our duck gravy. So in this large saucepan, I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of the duck fat. Remember the duck fat that we got from the duck while I was baking? We took 3 tablespoons and I added it into this small glass bowl. And I'm gonna just pour that right on in there. I'm gonna let this get hot for about 30 seconds. And to that, I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Now I'm gonna give this a quick stir. Now I'm gonna stir this continuously until the mixture reaches a brown color, like how you see here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 cups of our juice, our pan juices. Remember the pan juices that we got from the duck? I'm gonna add that right on in here. Now it's gonna get a little smoky, but that's all right. That's the magic of cooking. Remember those orange pieces that we roasted along with the duck? I'm gonna just take them and just squeeze them. Get as much juice out of that as you possibly can. Oh, that was about 6 orange pieces altogether. All right, now I'm gonna sprinkle a little seasoning. I'm gonna add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. So add about 1/4 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic. Now to enhance the sweetness just a little bit, you can add about a 1/2 teaspoon of honey or sugar. That's if you want to. If you don't want to add the sugar, you don't have to, okay? Make sure you taste it to see if it's at your desired taste. If not, you could add more seasoning. I love the flavor that the orange gives this. It's a very slight sweetness. It's really good. Let this simmer for 6 minutes. All right, it's been about 6 minutes now, and our duck gravy is done. Turn your fire off. Now you're gonna let this cool for about 30 minutes to an hour before serving. And this will thicken as it cools as well, all right? All right, y'all, here's the duck. Cut a piece here. As y'all can see, that's nice, juicy, and moist. And right here, there is some of the liquid from when we injected the duck. I just wanted to show y'all how that looks. Now it's time to go ahead and take a bite. Now before we begin, I want to give y'all a few pointers on duck, all right? Duck is all dog meat, okay? So there's no white meat in duck. It's like chicken and turkey where it's white meat. Also, you might notice that if you look at the duck, if you cut inside the duck, it might have like this grayish, pinkish-like appearance. Don't worry about that. That is totally safe as long as the internal temperature inside the duck is about 170 to 180 degrees. You'll be good to go. It's very similar to how, like for beef, like how some people like their steaks medium rare. Well, the same case can be said for the duck as well. You can actually cook it and tell it's medium rare as long as it has an internal temperature to cook out the bacteria, and then it's safe to eat. So I'm gonna do a couple of taste tests. Now also, some people say that, oh, duck is fatty. Well, I'm gonna tell you this. See this thick skin on the duck right here? You could just take that and just peel that off. And you have the piece of duck with no fat on it. And you could just eat it. Now this is the piece of the duck breast here. The duck has a very nice flavor. It's not like turkey or chicken. It has a similar taste, but it has more like a red meat. But there are some similarities to it. I'm gonna go ahead and dip this into the duck gravy that I have here. And you could actually eat this with rice here, really. The duck gravy is really good. It has a wonderful duck flavor. It has a slight sweetness to it from the fruits that we added in there. It's really good. It doesn't taste weird or anything. It is really, really good. And it blends perfectly well with the duck. It really does. It's good. Hey y'all, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. Now, I have an official website for all of my recipes, including this fabulous oven roasted duck and this homemade duck gravy from scratch recipe. You can go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. So, until next time, take care, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.